Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. This is Defub21, and today we have a new video game trailer. As always, this is a trailer for Dawn of War 3. It is called Dawn of War 3: Prophecy of War. I don't know if this is gameplay or another CGI trailer or a combination of the two. Maybe it's a kind of a FMV trailer using in-game assets. Again, I don't know. So without further ado, let's take a look, and then I'll let you know what I think. Toodaloo for now.
Fiery skies shall light the way, and blood shall spill over the wandering world. The spear of Cain shall call the wayfarers, and the Storm Prince shall unite them.
Soon the wandering world will appear and bring with it the spear of Cain.
It's a race to the pointy stick. You know what that means, don't ya? Let's war!
Tell your cowering lord no one, including him, will touch it so long as I live.
If you're set on staying this course, I must choose rebellion.
Eldar! Prophecy comes to pass!
One of the boys is gonna drive us around.
Well, it's all either option one, in-game footage, or option two, kind of pre-rendered sequences that are rendered using in-engine, using in-game art assets. Looks, I mean, again, this is particularly, the trailers I've seen, the footage I've seen, this little one looks like from a particularly recent build of the game. I think it's coming out first half of this year, but I can't quite remember the exact month, let alone day. Obviously on PC. Again, this trailer looks particularly visually impressive in terms of the in-game graphics and so on. But to be perfectly honest with you, it's, you see, again, it's a perfectly good game trailer for the game. It again uses nothing but in-game art assets and shows in-game footage, so it gives you a good idea what the game is actually like. The problem for me personally is that Dawn of War 3 appears to be going in a direction that I do not like. Not only that I do not like, I think it's a direction where effectively, rather than progressing forward, the developers Relic are actually going backwards. And what I mean by that is that, to my mind, Relic is the premier, certainly big budget AAA real-time strategy game developer. They are responsible for both Company Heroes 1 and 2, which I think are two of the best and particularly one of the most innovative real-time strategy games that's been released in recent memory, certainly in the last, at this stage, 10 years, or more than this stage, at this stage. And Company Heroes 2 is Again, the single player campaign, I never bothered completing it because the reviews were quite negative about it, and I didn't like the part of it I did play. But I really liked the multiplayer. I've bought expansion packs for it and so on to get the other playable factions. So Company Heroes 2 is maybe not as good necessarily or as innovative as 1 was at the time, but still a great game. And I think Dawn of War 2 was also really very much a step in the right direction. It was an improvement of Dawn of War 1, which is more of a kind of a traditional old school RTS, although it did innovate in a number of areas as well. I like the more tactical side of things, maneuvering units, putting them into cover. I prefer controlling a small number of units where you've got a lot of fine control. There's rooms for kind of tactics and strategy and so on. I do not, the problem is that's not what Dawn of War 3 appears to be. What Dawn of War 3 appears to be is a more old school RTS game like the Command and Conquer games or even StarCraft 1 and 2, where it may not have the resource model, maybe still using the better resource model from Dawn of War 2 and the Company Heroes games, where you're not just grabbing resources, but it does appear to be very much about churning out large numbers of units, like a big swarm of them, and then just rushing them at the enemy, which again has been around for that's been the kind of the core kind of base kind of gameplay design in Command and Conquer games since the early 90s. It's been true of the StarCraft series to date, including the first game that came out again in the mid to late 90s, and pretty much all the other RTS games that have been made, or certainly the ones that have been made that I'm aware of that have been made today, particularly the big budget ones. And to be honest with you, I think this is one of the key reasons why the RTS genre, which if there is a genre video game that is in decline, or that has declined dramatically from its heyday, it is RTS games. The number of particularly big budget ones being produced by particularly the big publishers has declined very, very dramatically. StarCraft 2 from a genuinely big publisher, an EA or an Activision or a Blizzard, in the case of Activision, Blizzard and so on, is really the last one of recent memory. Sega's a publisher, obviously, and they own Relic, and it was THQ who owned Relic before Sega. But they're certainly not on the same scale as Electronic Arts or Activision or any of the or Eidos or Ubisoft or any of the big Japanese publishers, your Square Enix, your Capcom. And the big players have pretty much abandoned the genre. And one of the key reasons I think why that is because of, again, a lack of innovation. The model, again, you've got, you mine some gold, or in the Command and Conquer games, Tiberium, it goes to a refinery in your base, and then you just spawn out lots of units and throw them at the enemy. Tank rush being a term that's particularly familiar with that kind of old school RTS game. It could only be pushed so far, and in my view, it got boring. And I think it's one of the main drivers as to why the genre went into decline. People don't realize Command and Conquer Generals, which was one of the last big budget AAA releases of Command and Conquer. That game sold 12 million copies in the first, I think it was, year it was on the market. That was, even now, that's very, very respectable numbers, and more than respectable. And it certainly would have been a very profitable game, but the inability to innovate, or unwillingness to innovate in real meaningful ways, or more specifically to see someone do it, in other words, Relic with the original Company of Heroes, and then not to follow suit and say, right, we need to change the kind of game's economic model, we need to go from tank rushes to more precise tactics, use capture points to generate resources that can only be captured by infantry, make infantry in doing so more important. The list goes on. I'm not going to go into the specific design innovations of the original Company of Heroes here and now, but the fact is the genre, I think the genre has fallen by the wayside for the most part because it simply failed to innovate, or when one of the players in the industry, Relic, did innovate, no one followed suit. And to my mind, again, to reiterate, this looks more of that kind of old school tank rush RTS gameplay, which I genuinely think might be an attempt by either Sega the publisher or Relic the developer, or a combination of both, to give the game more kind of mass market appeal. And the reality of the matter is that's not going to work. I mean, if, I was really excited for this game when the original announcement trailer came out, and I went out and bought Company Heroes 2 day one when it was released. Bought the original Company Heroes day one when it was released, one of the best reviewed RTS games of all time. And this to me seems like a massive step backwards. It's back to the kind of churning out larger units and just throwing them at the enemy. Minimal micromanagement. And I haven't seen anything of the resource model in the game to date. Hopefully it doesn't go back to the kind of Command and Conquer style way of doing things, which would be, again, to my mind, a huge step back. But again, we probably won't know until... Again, maybe there's some videos out there. If anyone in the comments has seen videos of that being detailed, please let me know. But right now, this game, to my mind, looks like, rather than building on what was done in both Company Heroes 1, what was done in Dawn of War 2, and what was done and innovated in Company Heroes 2, Relic seems to be going backwards rather than forwards, and I think that is a bad thing. RTS games have been historically one of my most favorite genres of video games. Its decline as a genre, in terms of particularly the big budget support and kind of mainstream mass market success, has always been, for me, it's been a point of ennui, shall we say, because again, a huge fan of the genre. It's one of the main reasons I was predominantly a PC gamer back in the 90s, because again, keyboard and mouse is the way to play these games. And one would think, with this huge resurgence in PC gaming, when you're seeing huge amounts of, like, a huge chunk of the personal computer market, the desktop market, and laptop market is now, mid to high-end gaming systems, high-end premium machines. The bulk of the drop-off in sales of the losses in sales in the PC market to tablets and even phones has been the low end, the cheap stuff, people who just want to use them to surf the web and do their email. But the mid to high tier stuff, that's where it's continuing to be successful and growing in terms of revenue and even sales. And the reality is this is a great time for the RTS genre to have a resurgence, but this simply isn't it, I'm afraid. Nothing in the trailer says to me that this game is nothing but a step backward rather than a step forward. And again, trailer itself, in-game art assets for the kind of FMV sequences or in-game rendered sequences, gameplay and the rest of the trailer, those are all good things because they're representative of the final product. The problem is, in terms of the final product, the core thing is the gameplay and the game design, and I just don't like the way where Relic is going with this title. Hopefully I'm proven wrong, but right now this is certainly not a pre-order for me, and it's certainly not even a buy on day one for me. It's just how the mighty have fallen. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on this trailer, whether you like it or you don't. Let me know your thoughts on Dawn of War 3, whether you think it's a step in the right direction or not. Let me know your thoughts on the RTS genre in particular. If there's any RTS games made by indies or anyone else out there that you think or that have come out recently that you think I might like, let me know in the comments. I'm always open to tips and suggestions there. And for the time being, again, please like this video if you liked it, and if you have not, for some strange reason, not already subscribed to my channel, please do so for more wondrous content like this. This is Defub21 signing off. Toodaloo.